Brawl Stars is about to enter to a whole new meta. Balance changes, new brawler, and one new hypercharge, which is very strong by the way, will change the meta completely. So today I'm here to tell you all of the most relevant changes and how you should take advantage of them. With this being said, hope you enjoyed today's video, and let's start off with the balance changes. More in particular, Chesser, which personally not a fan of. So, essentially, his hypercharge charge rate was decreased again from 30% to only 25%. So instead of needing 3.33 supers to get the hypercharge, you'll now take 4 supers to get the hypercharge. So essentially, 1 hypercharge per game, or 2 if you get really lucky. Chesser does cycle the supers quite well, so this should not be that big of a nerf. But again, Chesser's hypercharge was just so good, and they could have nerfed it just the bonus damage. The major issue of the hypercharge was just really the damage. That bomb could one-shot essentially everything in the game. So reducing the bonus damage of the hypercharge, it made sense, it felt logical, so I don't really get why Supercell, most of the times when they want to nerf a hypercharge, they just nerf the charge rate. Really not a fan of, but these will make Chesser a little bit more balanced, and now you don't need to panic as much with Chesser getting that many hypercharge, because again, best case scenario, he will only get 2. Next we have Stu, and his hypercharge charge rate was reduced from 3% to 2%, which it is a 33% nerf. Now, because most people don't know how Stu's charge rate actually works, now just to be clear, I did my research on Brawl Phantom, and if all of the stats are correct, before the nerf you would need 25 projectiles, or maybe some ticks of fire as well. That could reduce the amount by a little bit, keep that in mind. Before you needed 25 projectiles to get the hypercharge, and now you will need 37 projectiles. So that is a lot more projectiles to get the hypercharge, and you can feel it so easy. Like, you still get 1 hypercharge easily throughout the game, but getting the second one, it really feels pretty hard, not gonna lie. I have tried many times, and most of the times, if you get the hypercharge, it will be literally at the end of the game. So, still really had a strong hypercharge, and again, I do not like Supercell nerfing the charge rate. If the hypercharge is that strong, just nerf the stats for a while and see if it works. I really do not like nerfing the charge rate, but I already said this, so I won't repeat myself. It's a change that will for sure be a nice nerf to Stu, because the hypercharge was quite strong. But Stu baseline, it's still a strong brawler, so I am really expecting Stu to fall off the S tier, but he will be A tier still for sure. Both gadgets are still pretty viable, the super is pretty easy to get still, and the hypercharge is just really solid. Won't get it as much, but still really good. Now, finally, speaking of a change that I actually like, we have Meg. And Meg, while she's on her human form, she now has a very fast movement speed instead of a fast movement speed. Now, usually speed buffs are insanely underrated. I have seen so many brawlers just fall off the meta and enter the meta just because of a speed buff or a speed nerf. But Meg, because she's only in her human form half the time, it's very easy to assume that this buff will only help her half of the time. And I have played quite a lot of Meg to tell the difference, and just to know that it won't really change too much. There are some scenarios in ladder where I will tell the difference, like against the BB, it actually helps a lot, especially if you combine it with the second star power. If the brawler by some reason is very fast or had some sort of tiny movement speed buff, now they won't be able to catch you, which is really nice, honestly. So really good buff, and I really like the buff, but in the end of the day, it won't do that much for Meg. Meg will probably still be a low B tier brawler after this buff, but I am glad to see Supercell trying to buff Meg in different ways. Next we have Lumi, and she got 2 very good nerfs. Her second gadget, the frozen thingies, the cooldown was increased from 18 seconds to 22 seconds. No comments, pretty deserved, that gadget was broken. But the bigger nerf, it is that her HP will be reduced from 6000 to 5600 at maximum level. So in my opinion, Lumi was not that big of a deal. She was a really good and versatile brawler, but not that insane as a couple people made it sound like. So now that she's even easier to counter with assassins, like, I just cannot believe that she will ever be S tier, because like is so squishy. She'll just die to any assassin, and if she gets outranged, there are a couple of snipers that will now have a way much easier time 2-shotting her or 3-shotting her even if she has the shield gear. So I will say Lumi after this nerf is most likely going to fall into the B tier. Next we have Ollie with another nerf. His HP is getting reduced from 11,200 to 10,600. A nice 600 HP nerf, pretty solid, but I will say it doesn't fix the core issue of Ollie, which is the gadget plus super combination. It's really toxic, so there isn't really much to say here. I think that Ollie will be a little bit worse, but I would not be surprised if he was still like A/S tier, because he is still going to be very versatile. On top of that, you can now kinda aim your super, which in the end of the day, you'll just auto aim it regardless, but it's still one tiny thing that you should have in mind, so Ollie will still be a very viable pick. Next we have Meeple, and I am so happy about this one. His damage is getting reduced from 2,600 to 2,400. If there was one thing that I really wanted to happen to Meeple, was the damage getting reduced. He dealt way too much damage, especially considering that the shot was guided. It made sense, the shot dealing a lot of damage when he had a really weak reload speed, but now that he has a really good reload speed, it makes no sense why he should deal that much damage. And this actually changes a couple interactions against a couple snipers, which was a stereotype that he could counter very well. So I could see Meeple fall down into the A tier, maybe B tier in a couple scenarios. It really depends on the game mode as well. So because Meeple didn't had any nerf to his gadgets, I will say that for most of it, at least in the game modes where Meeple was already good, he is probably still going to be a really good brawler just because of the gadgets itself. So if you're playing Meeple, do not worry too much, just keep in mind that now it will be a little bit harder to 2-shot or 3-shot a couple brawlers. The next nerf, it is with Carl's first gadget, which now, instead of dealing 740 damage per fighter tick, it will now deal 600. It's a really nice nerf, and it was so annoying, that gadget, like almost one-shotting so many brawlers, like get hit by the pickaxe and by the fire, and half of the brawlers in the game are already dead. It was way too aggressive, honestly, and I'm really glad that thing got nerfed, because it was really broken, really. So I do not think that Carl will fall off the meta, because Carl is also good even without the gadget. So I will say that Carl is for sure still going to be an A tier brawler. He still has the Hypercharge, which is really good, so don't worry too much. Then we had like a couple gadgets getting nerfed, like B's second gadget, which is by far the craziest of them all. This gadget now has a 24-second cooldown instead of the old 20 seconds. This gadget has the single longest cooldown in the game. That's ridiculous, honestly. And B will still be strong because guess what? She wasn't broken because of the gadget. She's good because she has a good kit, and the Hypercharge helps a lot, so B is still very safe to pick. Then we also have Angelo, who's the piercing wall projectile. Now, instead of having 14 seconds of cooldown, has 18, which is pretty deserved. Like, I once faced this gadget and I was scared, like I feared by my life that I was just suddenly getting 4k out of a wall. It was kinda scary, not gonna lie. And then we also have the Gray's Walking Cane gadget. Instead of being 20 seconds, it's 23 seconds now. This one should have been 24 seconds, but whatever. I'm still going probably to use this gadget because it just has infinite times more value than the Grand Piano. So Gray is still going to be a good brawler, but maybe a little bit less versatile on open maps. So Gray is the only one that I could say might fall one tier, like maybe A tier or B tier, somewhere in between. Then we have Buster, who received a nerf that I do not like. His HP is getting reduced from 10,000 to 9,600. The only brawler that I would agree with the charge rate nerf on the Hypercharge, it is the one that does not get it. My luck is crazy sometimes. But the thing that annoys me even more is that because of how stats work, Buster's first gadget is actually also getting indirectly nerfed as well, which is really annoying. So now a gadget that was already underwhelming, it's now even weaker. I don't understand why they went with nerfing Buster's HP. It makes no sense. They should have nerfed like either their second gadget or the Hypercharge. I really do not understand this change, and I actually don't think it will change too much. It will make Buster a little bit less tanky, I will be honest. So maybe Buster won't feel as cheesy as well, considering that he will now be less tanky. So now you will rely a lot more on those second gadgets plus hypercharges. Next we have Manny, and her hypercharge charge rate is getting reduced from 40% to 35%. So instead of needing 2.5 supers, so instead of needing 10 projectiles, you will now need 12, because technically you cannot have 2.85 supers, so you will need one extra shot to get those 0.15. So it will now take 3 shots essentially to get the hypercharge, which I'm totally fine with, although I would have preferred to see a damage, like the damage buff of the hypercharge getting nerfed. I would have obviously preferred that, because I feel like that was the core issue of the hypercharge, but oh well, you can have everything, I guess. So with this being said, it will be a nice little nerf to Mandy, but I don't really think it will do too much. Like a 5% charge rate nerf on the hypercharge, maybe because she does cycle her supers quite a lot, it could make a bit of a bigger impact than I might imagine. But Manny will still be relatively popular, and she'll probably still be a A tier brawler in most of the game modes, especially the sniper ones. By the way, I forgot to mention on the gadget thingy that Byron's second gadget, instead of being 14 seconds, it will now be 18 seconds. Which it won't really change to, I mean, it will be a nice nerf, but Byron was already kind of mid, so I don't think this will honestly change too much. I genuinely almost forgot about this change. Next we have Willow, and her HP is getting increased from 5,600 to 6,200. Last time she received the HP buff, she was considered viable for quite a while. And I do feel like you can play her a lot more right now. And if I am correct, she is now the tankiest thrower in the game. And I could even maybe say that she's tankier than Sprout with the shield star power, but I'm not sure about that last one. What I know is that she is the thrower with the most HP in the game right now. And that clearly has advantages, because now we can use her in, let's say, more aggressive game modes. If I had to say, I would say that Willow will probably work as a little bit of a second choice if you cannot pick Larry and Lori. Because she is quite beefy, you have the shield of the super as well. It feels like Supercell is really trying to make Willow kind of a thrower tank, which I like because we don't actually have a thrower tank in the game, so it's nice to have something similar to that. And because Willow will get her hypercharge in like what, 2 weeks from now, I think, you could start playing more with Willow, but I don't think that she'll be that insane. Maybe once her hypercharge comes out, but until then, more HP won't really make her the best brawler in the game or anything. I'll probably just say that she will be like a B tier brawler. She was very underrated regardless, even before the buff, so I'm glad to see that they're trying to buff Willow somehow. Jessie's HP is getting increased from 6,000 to 6,200. This won't do anything. Next we have Crow, and this is a very weird one. In case you don't know, enemies poisoned by Crow receive 40% less healing. Now, that healing cut will be increased from 40% to 60%. So if you see even one, or actually I will go as far as saying 2 characters that rely on healing to be good, like let's say Hank or Barry, if they just get poisoned by Crow, they won't heal. End of the discussion. And these will make Crow very strong in ranked, because if you even see one healer on the enemy team and you have the last pick, you will just pick Crow and they won't heal. It can be really crazy in some scenarios. Unfortunately, this is like only for ranked, because you can't really do this on ladder. So I think that this won't change too much Crow in ladder, but other than that, I think that especially against healers, these will be so good, and Crow will be like the perfect counter to healer compositions, which there is quite a lot of them right now. So I am really glad to see this change, and honestly, I wish there was more brawlers with anti-heal mechanics. Next on the list we have Bonnie, and now the time to get your super back when you're on human form was reduced from like 20 seconds to like what, 0.6 seconds or something like that. Like, it's stupidly fast. But the point is, you get the super essentially instantaneously while you're on baby form. which it's a nice change. Now you can cycle between human and normal a lot easily, and that will make way much less punishing to use your super as the cannon form. The problem is, I will say, both forms feel way too weak. The cannon form is slow, and it has a really slow reload speed, and it only has 1 ammo and only shoots 1 projectile. And the baby form, it's the opposite. It's very fast, it's not tanky at all, it has 3 ammo, and it deals a balloon enough damage. But it has the insanely small range. The one thing that I do really like about this Bonnie buff that could be a little bit underrated is that whenever you change between forms, you remove of yourself all negative effects. So this could be good to, for example, clean Crow poisons, Byron poisons, Amber once she gets her hypercharge, Willow. So there are a little bit of nice extras with this. On top of that, in case you didn't know, when you're in human form and you use your super, you actually heal a little bit, like your HP percentage, which is also a nice detail that a lot of people don't really talk about. So I could see an argument to Bonnie going up to the B tier, but I generally don't think Bonnie will be any better than that. Next we have the Monkey, and his reload time is getting reduced from 2.6 seconds to 2.4 seconds. I really don't think this will change much. 2.4 seconds, it will still be an eternity. And most of the times, if you do not manage to kill the enemy brawler within those like 4 ammo or maybe 5 if you're getting lucky, like you're dead. It's not less 0.2 seconds that will change too much. His hypercharge is still very weak, and I just don't really see how this could really help Miko that much. So Miko will probably still be the same thing, an annoying little monkey that I really do not like to face off in Knockout when I'm playing Sprout. And the final buff of the balance change, it is with Pam. Now she deals 15% more damage. Sounds crazy on the paper, but honestly, I don't think this will change too much. And I checked Brawl Phantom for any undirect buffs, and she didn't get her super charge rate buffed, which I was actually kinda hoping for that, because if her charge rate was buffed, that meant more supers, and I could see an argument that she would be a lot better. But just bonus damage, I don't think it will do too much. After Meg received her rework, she got an insane damage nerf, and that literally did nothing, so I generally don't think this will change too much. Pam, so she's probably gonna be a little bit better against tanks, which is nice, so maybe you could consider her once or twice if you really want a healer somehow. So maybe no longer useless, but I am sure that she won't be that good. Maybe once she gets a hypercharge, if the hypercharge has decent stat buffs and if it charges very fast and if it's essentially broken, maybe Pam will be good again. Now we have our newest hypercharge, which is Kenji's hypercharge, and it is really good. At first I thought that the hypercharge would recharge very slowly, but then I understood that it was in a very unfortunate matchup against Wasabi guys, so really bad luck on me. But after a couple more games I realized that you can get the hypercharge so fast. It's insane, and the pulling of the super, it's really helpful as well to make sure that you cycle very well those supers to guarantee the hits. And one thing that I'm still not used to, it is to spawn where you place your super. That is the weird thing about the hypercharge in my opinion. But you get the hypercharge really fast. That's what truly surprised me. And the fact that you have 25% bonus damage with the hypercharge, it's what really makes the hypercharge lethal. Please, Supercell, if you decide to inevitably nerf this hypercharge somehow, please just nerf the bonus damage, because that's what, in my opinion, makes the hypercharge broken. Please do not nerf the charge rate. The charge rate, I mean, you could nerf the charge rate just a little bit, I can see an argument for that, but if there is anything that you should nerf, it is really the bonus damage, which, the bonus damage with the super, it's insane, so trust me, expect a lot of Kenji in the meta until the hypercharge received any sort of nerf, because that hypercharge, it is really strong because you can get it so fast. And finally we have our newest brawler, which is Jayo. So I'm gonna take a risk and say that he actually won't be as good as a lot of people are saying. I don't know, I just don't feel like why this type of role would work, for one simple reason. They are trying to make Jaeyoung both a speedster like Max and also a healer like Barry or Byron. And what I'm noticing is that he doesn't do either of those things very well. Like, at all. The super speed is nice and the super healing is also nice, but honestly, your attack is just way too wanky to get value off. Like, the speed buff also makes you deal less damage, which is just not helpful at all. Like, the bonus speed, it's nice if you really want to rush towards an enemy, like you use an attack in a straight up line, but is the speed really that helpful? I just don't really see it. I know I've played against bots and those are not a good way to tell if it's actually strong or not. But honestly, the baseline just simply does not feel rewarding enough. And on top of that, he seems to have a kinda mediocre reload speed, which, considering his role, if they want him to be really broken, he has to have a really fast or faster than most reload speed. If there is one thing that truly saves this brawler, it is the star power and the gadgets, because they make this somewhat mediocre brawler into actually a quite aggressive one, honestly. Because you have a very honestly weird speedster. I would most of the times use Max either way, and you have a mediocre healer that can do both of them. And then you have a gadget that when you press, you deal like 2000 damage to a decent area and has piercing, and your attacks start to deal a very strong amount of damage. That's very weird. And then you have the second gadget, which instead of leaving speeding zones for your allies, you leave slowing zones for your enemies, which again, very aggressive. It will make very easy to kill the enemies, which is really insane. So if there is one thing good about this brawler, it is the gadgets. The first star power, I still have no idea really how strong it can be. I feel like it will rely a lot of teamwork to really make it work. But the last thing that I do want to mention about Jaeyoung is the fact that you charge the super automatically, which obviously the Wasabi power, it's not accurate. You won't charge it that fast. It will charge in 10 seconds. But I feel like that is a really good thing, because if you couldn't charge the super automatically, if you by any chance got stuck into a mode, it would be the end of it. And me personally, use the healer mode for most of it. I generally feel like that is the better one. Other than that, I don't really see this brawler being that helpful. I'm gonna take a risk and say that he's most likely going to be like a B tier at best case scenario, because he has two major roles and he doesn't do either one of them that well. So it's all about the gadgets. I would say that he's like Meeple before getting all of those buffs. So I do not have that much high hopes for Jaeyoung, but a new support, it's always a good thing, and that changes the meta in favor of the tanks even more. So, in conclusion of all of these changes, all the brawlers that had their gadgets nerfed with the exception of Gray will stay exactly the same, 100% sure. Meg won't do anything, and most of the buffs with the exception of Crow's one, in the long run they won't do anything. The Crow one, it's the only one because it will hard counter any heal in the game, and I'm glad they did this because healers with tanks will be insanely good. The only tank that really got nerfed was Buster, if I'm correct. You still have Draco, Frank, Daryl for example as well. You still have Barry, who didn't get nerfed for some reason. You have Poco as well, and now you have Jaeyoung. So the meta will have a lot of tanks in my opinion, and like Chester, one of the best tank counters, got nerfed. Not by that much, but still, nerf is a nerf. So expect a lot of tanks in this meta. And Kenji, the Hypercharge, it is broken. It will be nerfed so fast, I am telling you. So with all of this being said, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked, do not forget to subscribe, join our Discord server, link in the description, and I'll see you on the next video.